What's up, y'all? We up here live, first live feed, you know what I'm saying? Not expecting too much, but I'm up here just doing it real live. Today I'm going to go into the Green Book, The Solution of the Problem of Democracy, the Authority of the People. This is written by Muammar Gaddafi, and he got some pretty deep stuff to say in this that goes to the conditions of today that's going on and the peril that we're going through. As I stated before, I'm not going to go through all of this, just bits and pieces and parts of this on the live feed, but the solution of the problem of democracy, the authority of the people. So we're going to see what Muammar Gaddafi had to bless his wisdom on this. Hey, don't sleep, because Gaddafi had a lot of good shit going for him. Don't believe in a lot of the Western media hype. You know what I'm saying? The instrument of government is the prime political problem confronting human communities. The problem of the instrument of government entails questions of the following kind. What form should we exercise authority assume? How ought societies to organize themselves politically in a modern world? Even conflict within the family is often a result of failure to resolve the problem of authority. It has clearly become more serious with the emergence of modern society. People today face this persistent question in new and pressing ways. Community are exposed to risk of uncertainty and suffer the grave consequences of the wrong answers. Yet none has succeeded in answering the conclusive and democracy. The Green Book presents the ultimate solution to the problem of the proper instrument of government. All political systems in the world today are a product of the struggle for power between alternative instruments of government. This struggle may be peaceful or armed, as evident among the class, sex, tribes, parties, or individual. The outcome is always the victory of a political governing structure, be it that of an individual, group, party, or class, and the defeat of the people. The struggle and the defeat of genuine democracy. The political struggle that results in the victory of a candidate, for example, 51% of the votes leads to a dictatorial governing body in the guise of a false democracy, since 49% of the electorate is ruled by an instrument of government they did not vote for, but which has been imposed upon them. Such is a dictatorship. All right? Such is a dictatorship. Besides this political conflict may be producing a government body that represents only a minority. For when the votes are distributed among several candidates through one poll more than the other, the sum of votes received by those who receive fewer votes might as well constitute overwhelming majority. However, the candidate with the fewer votes win, and his success is regarded as legitimate and democratic. In actual fact, dictatorship is established under the cover of false democracy, which we're going to live under, which you're going to explain to. This is the reality of political systems prevailing in the world today. There are dictatorial systems, and it's evident that they falsify genuine democracy. Parliaments or Congresses. Parliaments are the backbone of convenient democracy prevailing in the world today. Parliament or Congresses is a misrepresentation of the people. A parliamentary system are a false solution to the problems of democracy. A parliament is originally founded to represent the people, but itself is undemocratic, as a democracy means the authority of the people and not the authority of acting on their behalf. The mere existence of a parliament means the absence of the people. True democracy exists only through the active participation of the people, and not through the activity of their representative. Parliament has been a legal barrier between the people and the exercise authority, excluding the masses from the meaningful politics and monopolizing the sovereignty in their place. People are left with only a facade of democracy, manifested in long queues that cast their election ballot. To bear the character of the parliaments, one has to examine their origin. They are either elected from a constituency, a party, or a coalition of parties, or appointed. But all of these procedures are undemocratic, for dividing the population into constituencies mean that one member of parliament represents thousands, or hundreds of thousands, or millions of people, depending on the size of the population. It also means that a member keeps fewer popular organizational links with their electors, since he, like other members, is considered a representative of the whole people. This is what the prevailing traditional democracy requires. The masses are completely isolated from the representative, and he, in turn, is solely removed from them. Immediately after winning the electoral votes, the representative take over the people's sovereignty and acts on their behalf. Right? So immediately you put your vote in and pick up the people's sovereignty to act on your behalf. The prevailing tradition of democracy endows members of parliament with the scarceness and immunity which is to be denied to the rest of the people. Parliaments therefore have become a means of plundering, usurping the authority of the people. It has thus become the right of the people to struggle through popular revolution to destroy such instruments, the so-called parliamentary assemblies, which usurp democracy and sovereignty and which stifle the will of the people. The masses have the right to proclaim reverently the new principle, no representation in lieu of the people. If parliamentary is formed from one party as a result from winning an election, it becomes a parliamentary of the winning party and not of the people. It represents the party and not the people, and the executive power of parliament becomes that of the victorious party and not the people. The same is true of the parliamentary proposed representation, in which each party holds a number of seats proportional to their success in popular vote. The members of parliament represent their respective parties and not the people, and the power established by such coalition is the power combined of parties and not those of the people. Under such systems, the people are victims whose vote are vied for by exploitative competing factions who dupe the people into political circuses. They are outwardly noisy and frantic, but inwardly powerless and irrelevant. Alternatively, the people are subdued into standing in long public, pathetic silent queens, casting their votes in the same way, throwing wasted paper into dustbins. This is a traditional democracy prevalent in the whole world, whether it's represented by a one-party, two-party system, Republican, Democrat, multi-party system, or a non-party system. Thus, it is clear that representation is a fraud. Furthermore, since the system of elected parliament is based on propaganda to win votes, it is a demagogue system in the real sense of the word. Votes can be bought and falsified. Poor people are unable to compete in election campaigns, and the result is only the rich get elected. Assemblies consisted by appointment or hereditary succession do not fall under any form of democracies. Philosophers, thinkers, and writers advocate the theory of representation in parliament at the time when people were uncommonly herded like sheep by kings, sultans, and conquerors. The ultimate aspiration of the people of those times was given to someone to represent them before such rulers. When even this aspiration was ejected, people waged bitter and protracted struggle to gain this goal. After this successful establishment of the age of republics and the beginning of the era of the masses, it was unthinkable that a democracy should mean the electing of a few representatives to act on behalf of the great masses. This is an obsolete structure. Authority must be in the hands of all the people. Most tyrannical dictatorships the world has ever known existed under ages of parliaments. The most tyrannical leadership that we ever seen existed in the age of parliaments. The party. The party is a contemporary form of dictatorship. It is a modern instrument of dictatorial government. The party is ruled as a part of the whole, as a party is not an individual. It creates a superficial democracy by establishing assemblies, committees, and propagandists through its meeting. The party is not a democratic instrument because it's composed only of those people who have common interests, common perception, or shared culture, or those who belong in the same region or share the same belief. They form a party to achieve their ends, impose their will, and extend domination of their beliefs, values, and interests on the society as a whole. The party aims to achieve power under the pretext of carrying out its program. Democratically, none of these parties should govern a whole people who constitute a diversity of interests, ideas, temperaments, regions, and beliefs. The party is a dictatorial instrument of government that enables those with a common outlook or interest to rule the people as a whole. Within the community, the party represents a minority. The purpose of forming a party is to create an instrument to rule the people, i.e., to rule over non-members of the party. The party is, fundamentally, based on arbitrary authoritarian concept. The domination of its members of the party rests on the people. The party proposed that its succession to power is its way to attain ends and assume that objectives are those of the people. This is the theory justify the party's dictatorship. It is a base of any dictatorship. No matter how many parties existed, the theory will remain valid. The existence of any party intensifies the struggle for power. This is the result of the neglect of achievement for the people in any social beneficial plans. Such action is presented as a justification to undermine the position of the ruling party so that the opposition party can replace it. The parties very seldom resort to arms in their struggle. This is very important now. The parties very seldomly resort to arms in their struggle, but rather denounce and denigrate the actions of each other. This is a battle which inevitably wage at the expense of the higher vital interests of society. Some, if not all, of those higher interests will fall prey to the struggle of power between instruments of government for the destruction of the interests that support the opposition in their argument against the ruling party or parties. In order to rule, the opposition party has to defeat the existing instrument of government. To do so, the opposition must realize the government achievement and cast doubts on its plan, even though the plans may be beneficial to society. Consequently, the interests and programs of the society becomes victims of the party's struggles for power. Such struggle is therefore politically, socially, and economically destructive to the society, despite the fact that it creates political activity. Thus, the struggle results in the victory of another instrument of government, the fall of one party and the rise of another. It is, in fact, a defeat for the people, i.e. a defeat for democracy. Furthermore, parties can be bribed and corrupted either from inside or outside. Originally, the party formed opportunities to represent the people. Subsequently, the party leadership became representation of the membership, and the leader represents the party elite. It has come clear that this partisan game is a deceitful farce based on a false form of democracy. It is a selfish, authoritarian character based on maneuvers, intrigues, and political gain. This confirmed the fact that the party system is a modern instrument of dictatorship. The party system is an outright unconvincing dictatorship, one which the world has yet to surpass. In fact, the dictatorship of the modern age. The parliamentary of the winning party is indeed the parliamentary of the party. For executive power formed by this parliamentary is the power of the party over the people. Party power, which is supposedly for the good of the whole people, is actually the arch enemy of a fraction of the people, namely the opposition party or parties and their supporter. The opposition is therefore not a popular check on the ruling party, but rather itself opportunistically seeking to replace the ruling party. According to modern democracy, the legitimate check on the ruling party is the parliament, the majority of whose members are from the ruling party. That is to say, the control is in the hands of the ruling party, and the power is in the hands of the controlling party. Thus, the deception, falseness, and invalid from the political theories dominating the world today become obvious. For these emerge contemporary conventional democracy. The party represents a segment of the people, but the sovereignty of the people is indivisible. Let me read this again. The party represents a segment of the people, but the sovereignty of the people is indivisible. The party allegedly governs on behalf of the people, but in reality, the true principle of democracy is based on the notion there could be no representation in lieu of the people. The party system is a modern equivalent of the tribal and sectarian system. A society governed by one party is similar to one which is governed by one tribe or one sect. The party, as shown, represents a perception of a certain group of people or the interests of one group of society or one belief or one region. Just as the party is a minority compared to the whole people, just as the tribe and the sect are, the minority has a narrow, common sectarian interest and belief from which the common outlook is formed. Once blood relationship distinguishes a tribe from a party, and indeed a tribe might also be the basis or the foundation of a party, there is no difference between party struggle and tribal or sectarian struggles for power. Just as a tribal and sectarian rule is politically unacceptable and inappropriate, likewise the ruler under a party system. Both follow the same path and lead to the same end. Negative and destructive effects of tribal and sectarian struggle on a society as identical on the negative destructive effects of the political party. Class. Now we know Marx talked about class. Let's see what to say about class. Class systems the same as the party, tribal, and sectarian system, since class dominates society in the same way that a party, tribe, or sect would. Classes are like parties, sects, or tribes, are groups of people within a society who share common interests. Common interests arise from the existence of a group of people bound together by blood relationship, belief, culture, locality, or standard of living. Classes, parties, sects, and tribes emerge because of blood relationship, social rank, economic interest, standard of living, belief, culture, or locality to create a common outlook to achieve a common end. Thus, social structures in the form where classes, parties, tribes, and sects emerge. They eventually develop into political identities directed towards the realization of goals of that group. In all cases, the people are neither the class, the party, the tribe, nor the sect, but these are no more than segments of the people that constitute a minority. If a class, a party, a tribe, or a sect dominates society, then the dominant system becomes a dictatorship. However, a class or a tribe coalition is preferable to a party coalition since societies originally consist of tribal communities. One seldomly finds a group of people who do not belong to a tribe, and all people belong to a specific class. But no parties or parties embrace all the people. Therefore, the party or a party coalition represents a minority compared to the masses outside their membership. Under genuine democracy, there can be no justification for any one class to subdue another class for its interests. Similarly, no party, tribe, or sect can crush others for their own interests. To allow such actions abandon the logic of democracy and justifies the resort to use of force. Such policy of suppressions are dictatorial because they are not in the interest of the whole society, which consists more than one class, tribe, or sect, or members of one party. There is no justification for such actions. Through the dictatorial argument is that the society actually consists of numerous segments, one of which must undertake the liquidation of others in order to maintain solely in power. This exercise is not according to the interest of the whole society, but rather the interest of a specific class, tribe, sect, party, or those who claim to speak for society. Such as an act is basically aimed at the member of society who does not belong at the party, class, tribe, or sect which carry out the liquidation. Society torn apart by party feud is similar to one torn apart by tribal or sectarian conflicts. A party that is formed in the nature of class inevitably becomes a substitute for that class and continue the process of spontaneous transformation until it becomes hostile to the class it replaced. Any class which inherits society also inherits its characteristics. If the working class, for example, subdue all other classes of a particular society, then it becomes its only heir and forms the material and social base. The heir acquires the traits of those from whom it inherits, though it may not be all evident all at once. With the passage of time, characteristics of the other eliminate classes will emerge within the ranks of the working class itself. Members of the new society will assume the attitudes and the perspective appropriately on the new evolved characteristics. Thus, the working class will develop into a separate society possessing all the contradictions of the old society. It will be in its first stage, the material standards and importance of the members become unequal. Thereafter, groups emerge and will automatically become classes that are the same as classes that were eliminated. Thus, the struggle for domination of the society begins again. Each group of people, each fraction, each new class will all vie to become instruments of government. Being social in nature, the material base of any society is interchangeable. The instrument of government of this material base may be sustained for some time, but eventually becomes obsolete as new materials and social standards evolve from the new material base. Any society which undergoes a class conflict at one time may have been a one-class society, but through evolution, it inevitably becomes a multi-class society. The class that exploits and acquires the possession of both others to maintain powers of itself will soon find that through evolution, it may be itself subject to change as though we are in a society as a whole. In summary, all attempts at unifying the material base of the society in order to solve the problem of government or at putting to an end the struggle of the favor of the party, class, sect, or tribe have failed. All endeavors aimed at pleasing the masses through election of representatives or through parliaments have equally failed. To continue such practice will be a waste of time and mockery of the people. So to continue such class, so whether you know it or not, you are living in a dictatorship. right now here in the United States. You just don't know it. Like I said, if 51% gets the vote, that's still the majority, but they still shoot down everybody else. All right, let's look and read a little bit more. We're almost done. Placebo sites. Placebo sites are fraud against democracy. Now, this is very important. This is a very important thing. Placebo sites are fraud against democracy. Those who vote yes or no do not, in fact, express their free will, but rather are silenced by modern conceptions of democracy, such as that are not allow them to say more than yes or no. Such a system is oppressive and tyrannical. Those who say no should express their reasons and why they did not say yes. And those who say yes should verify such our agreement and why they did not say vote no. Both should state their wishes and be able to justify their yes or no vote. What then is the path to be taken by humanity in order to be conclusively to rid itself of the elements of dictatorship and tyranny? This intricate problem in the case of democracy is reflected in the nature of the instrument of government, which demonstrate all conflicts of classes, parties, and individuals. The election and the plebiscites were invented to cover the failure of these unsuccessful experiments to solve this problem. The solution lies in finding an instrument of government other than those which are subject to conflict and which represent only one fraction of society. That is to say, the instrument of government which is not a party, class, sect, or tribe, but an instrument of government which the people as a whole. In other words, we seek instruments of government which neither represents the people nor speaks their name. There can be no representation in lieu of the people, and representation is a fraud. If such an instrument can be found, then the problem is solved and true popular democracy is realized. Thus, humankind would have terminated the eras of tyranny and dictatorship and placed them with the authority of the people. The Green Book presents the ultimate solution to the problem of the instrument of government and indicates for the masses the path upon which they can advocate of an age of dictatorship to a genuine democracy. This new theory is based on the authority of the people without representation or representation. It achieves direct democracy in an orderly and effective form. It is superior to the old attempts at direct democracy, which were impractical because they lacked popular organizations at the base level. The base level meaning the grassroots. All right. Now we're going to stop right there. You know what I'm saying? He goes a little bit more deeper into it with popular people conferences. Well, I'll read this last little piece right here. Popular conferences are the only mean, right? Because you got to have popular conferences. If you look back in African American history, you had the African American, the Pan African Conference. We always had conferences. You know what I'm saying? Mean globally, mean locally. You know what I'm saying? Mean regionally. You know what I mean? We always had conferences where you met up like that. The popular conference are the only mean to achieve popular democracy. Any system of government contrary to this method and the method of popular conferences is undemocratic. All the prevailing systems of the government in the world today will remain undemocratic unless they adopt this method. Popular conferences are the end of the journey of the masses in their quest for democracy. Popular conferences and the people committees are the fruition of the people's struggle for democracy. Popular conferences and popular committees are not creation of imagination. They are products of thought which observe all human experiments to achieve democracy. Direct democracy, if put in practice, is totally indisputable the idea of method of government. But while it's impossible to gather all the people, however, the small population in one place so that they can discuss, discern, and decide policies nations departed from reality is replaced by the various theories of government such as representative councils, parties, coalitions, and plebiscites, all which isolate the masses. And prevent them from managing their political affairs. These segments of government, the individual, the class, the sect, the tribe, and the parliamentary, and the party struggling to, it shows a little to achieve power, have plundered the sovereignty of the masses and monopolized politics and authority for themselves. The Green Book guides the masses to an unprecedented practical system of direct democracy. No two intelligent people can dispute the fact that direct democracy is an idea, but it has no practical method for its implementation has now been advised. The third universal theory, however, now provides us with a practical approach to direct democracy. The problem of democracy in the world will finally be solved. All that is left before the masses is now a struggle to eliminate the prevailing forms of dictatorial government, be it a parliamentary, sect, tribe, class, one-party system, two-party system, or multi-party system, which falsely calls themselves democracies. True democracy has but one method and one theory. Disseminating the diversity of the systems claimed to be democracy do, in fact, provide evidence that they are not so. The authority of the people has but one face, which can only be realized through popular conference, popular committees. There could be no democracy without popular conferences and committees eventually everywhere. First, the people are divided into basic popular conferences. Each popular conference chooses a secretary. The secretaries of all the popular conferences come together and form the non-basic popular conferences. Subsequently, the masses of the basic popular conferences select the administration of the people committee and replace government administrations. All public institutions are run by the public committee, which will be responsible for the basic popular conference, which dictate the policy and supervises execution. Thus, before the administration and the supervision become the people in the outdated definition of democracy, democracy is supervision of the government by the people becomes obsolete. It will be replaced by the true definition. Democracy is the supervision by the people for the people. All citizens who are members of these popular conferences belong vocational and functionally to various sectors and have therefore to form themselves in their own professional popular conference, in addition to being a virtue of citizenship and member of the basic popular conference of the people committee. All right. So he's talking about how to build it up from the grassroots and taking it from the bottom up. You know what I'm saying? Now, people might say this is Gaddafi, whoop-de-whoop, but the truth is, Libya was just like Cuba. You know what I'm saying? Free medical, the oil money paid for everybody, had education and stuff like that. You know, really looking deep into what Libya was before, coons like Obama bombed it, and permitted his own people, Obama, to go to slavery. And ran the cleaner system, really. Something that the West cannot have. I don't think they had so much money, they about to bring the gold standard on? If I remember correctly, they had so much money they about to bring the gold standard on. And plus, they didn't have no IMF there. They didn't need none of that stuff. They didn't need none of the World Bank or the Bank of the Rothschilds. So, this is a live feed, talking, kicking it, letting y'all know what's up. Hopefully I enjoyed it. It's the first one. First one of many. It is what it is. Trying to figure out how to get out this thing. And y'all have a good one. You know what I'm saying? And enjoy it. What up? Subscribe to the channel. And much love. Subscribe to the channel. I said Kosing. I'm also on YouTube on CLRJames79. Gmail.com. And also on Black Junction TV. You know what I'm saying? So subscribe to the channel. Hey, much love. And y'all have a wonderful day. And y'all think about what's been said. If you don't like the way I'm reading the first chapter of the Green Book, go pick it up yourself. It's on PDF. Go read it yourself. He has some good ass ideas. But a direct democracy, unlike the one we live in the United States, was a dictatorship. Don't matter if Obama was in or Trump is in. It's still a dictatorship. There's still one party, Democrat or Republican, pushing their way on a certain group of people that don't want their ways to happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's a dictatorship. All they got to come from, like I said, Gaddafi said, from direct democracy, from the grassroots. Y'all have a wonderful one. Hey, peace and enjoy.